Detroit's streets are frigid in the dead of winter. A 5-year-old girl, clad in rags, her hands purple with cold, rummages through a trash can. Then she hears the familiar rumble of an engine, the sound of an old fear from a black, license-plateless van. Who is hunting a child? And why does Anna know how to flee as if she's escaped hell itself? But when a millionaire unexpectedly appears and offers his hand in the freezing night, it inadvertently sets off a life-and-death battle between light and darkness. The streets are more than 11 at night. The wind whistles between the abandoned buildings, bringing a chill that penetrates the thin clothes of the 5-year-old girl. Her name is Anna. Small hands, red with cold, search through an overturned trash can next to a brick wall. Anna looks for plastic bottles, things that can be sold for a few coins. Beside her feet is a grey nylon bag, inside containing a teddy bear, missing an eye, a broken cookie, and a crumpled piece of paper. The girl is silent. No whimpers, no complaints. Her eyes are vigilant, looking everywhere, like a small cat that has just escaped from somewhere dark. In the distance, the sound of a car engine echoes. A luxury car, headlights cutting through the thin mist. The car stops right at the head of the alley. From the driver's seat, a middle-aged man steps out. He wears a thick overcoat, his hands in leather gloves. His name is Daniel Whitaker. He had just left a charity gala for the National Children's Fund. On the way home, he chose a shortcut through the old industrial district. An unexpected decision, but he didn't realize it would change the rest of his life. Daniel sees the girl from afar, a child, gaunt, clothes torn, her hands rummaging through a trash bag. He stops, walking slowly towards her. "Are you all right?" he asks, in a low, non-threatening voice. Anna looks at him, eyes wide, hands clutching her bag. She doesn't answer. Her feet inch backward towards the wall. Daniel stands still, not advancing further, gently takes off his gloves. His hand extends, palm open, as if to say he has no weapons, no bad intentions. "I'm not a cop. Not from the facility either. I just saw you were alone." Anna still doesn't speak, but then, as she steps back again, her foot trips on a protruding brick. She falls, her left hand scraping on the gravel, skin tearing, blood flowing. Daniel quickly moves forward. Without asking further, he takes off his scarf, wrapping it around the girl's hand. Not too tight, just enough to stop the bleeding. His hand trembles slightly with cold, but his eyes remain calm. At this moment, Anna no longer looks at him like a stranger. She doesn't speak, but doesn't flinch either. Daniel sits down, at her eye level. "What's your name?" he asks, his voice lowering. Anna shakes her head. Her mouth is pressed shut, but her eyes are no longer distant. They are like the eyes of someone waiting to see if they can trust. The air in the alley is almost silent, only the rustling of trash and the cold wind blowing through. Daniel is not in a hurry. He's about to ask something else when suddenly, from the head of the alley, the sound of a van engine echoes. The black van, without license plates, is revving its engine, moving closer. The headlights are not on. But Anna immediately recognizes that sound. The girl jumps up, grabs Daniel's hand, and shouts quietly but clearly, "Run!" Before Daniel can ask, Anna has grabbed his hand, pulling him into the side alley behind, a narrow passage between two abandoned warehouses. She moves quickly, without getting lost, as if she has fled along this route many times. The van slows down before where they just stood. The headlights turn on, sweeping over the trash. A man sits in the passenger seat, leaning out the window, looking around, then pulling out his phone. His voice is low, full of anger. Daniel and Anna, hiding behind a container, hear every word clearly. "She's gone. I saw her with some old guy." Daniel holds his breath. Anna hugs the wall, eyes looking down. Her small hand still tightly grips his. The man in the van turns his head. He slams his hand on the dashboard, snarling, "Damn it! If she gets to somewhere crowded, we're screwed." The van turns around, roars away, disappearing into the night mist. Daniel is still silent, but his head is full of questions. Who is this girl? Who is looking for her? And why does a 5-year-old know how to run away like an adult? Anna releases his hand after a few minutes. She doesn't say anything, just turns her head, her eyes looking at him. This time, her eyes are no longer afraid, but wary and hopeful. Daniel bends down, using his scarf to gently wipe the dirt on her cheek. He knows one thing. This child is not just an ordinary, homeless person, and someone is willing to do anything to catch her again. He doesn't know what he's getting into, but he was once a child left behind, and he promised himself, if he meets a child like that again, he will not turn away. The car, carrying Daniel and Anna, leaves the industrial district when the clock strikes almost midnight. On the back seat, Anna sits silently. Streetlights flash across the window, reflecting on her small face. She still hugs her torn bag, eyes staring straight ahead, unblinking. Daniel sits in the front, not saying anything. He tells the driver to drive slowly, avoiding sharp turns. He doesn't want Anna to be startled again. His mansion is located in the northern suburbs of the city, a large house, classic American architecture, a large garden, and a white fence. But inside, it is empty. Only him and Lucille, the old nurse who cared for him since he worked in a charity in an orphanage. The door opens, lights on dimly. Daniel bends down, lifting Anna out of the car. She doesn't resist, but doesn't hug him either. Just remains silent. Lucille appears in the grand hall, wearing a woolen robe, holding a blanket. "Who is this child?" she asks, her eyes worried. Daniel shakes his head. "A girl I met tonight. I don't know anything about her. I just know that. She needs a safe place." Lucille gives him the blanket, then leans down to look closely at Anna. She doesn't ask any more questions. "Take her to the west room. It's warm and quiet." Daniel puts Anna down on the small bed in the wood-paneled room. White sheets, thick blanket. Anna still hugs her bag. Lucille is about to take it when the girl shrinks back, shaking her head. She sits down, gently saying, "No one will take it. You can keep it. But I just need to look a little, okay?" Anna looks at her for a few seconds, then slowly opens the bag. Inside is an old photo, the paper stained with water. It is a photo of a woman holding a newborn baby, maybe her mother. There is a stuffed bear, light pink, missing an ear, and a piece of silver chain. Only half, on the silver surface, is engraved a strange symbol, like a snake coiling around a letter. Lucille looks closely, frowning slightly. "Daniel," she says softly, "you should have Jamal trace this symbol. It's so familiar, but not something for children." Daniel nods. He takes a picture of the chain, then gives it back to Anna. The girl takes a rag in the bag and wraps it up, carefully, as if keeping a treasure. That night, Anna doesn't eat, doesn't speak, doesn't cry. She lies on her side, facing the wall, still hugging her teddy bear. Daniel stands at the door for a moment, then turns off the light, closing the door. The next morning, Daniel calls Jamal, a young assistant specializing in technology and data. When he sees the photo of the pendant, Jamal frowns. "I've seen this in old FBI files, when doing research for a federal crime monitoring project." "What do you mean?" Daniel asks. "This is the symbol of a clandestine organization. Outwardly, it is a rehabilitation center for teenagers in the Illinois border region. But a few years ago, it was suspected of being a place to detain children illegally. The case was hushed up, no one was prosecuted. But this symbol is very distinctive." Daniel sits up straight. Could it be Anna was kept there? I'm not sure, but if this chain is hers, and if she's on the run, then there's a very high chance. Daniel closes his eyes. A familiar feeling rises in his heart, the cold anger when seeing a child being hurt and no one caring. That night, when everything is quiet, Anna suddenly screams in her sleep. Lucille runs in first. Daniel follows. The girl sits up, sweat wetting her forehead, eyes wide, hands hugging her pillow. Car sound. Anna stutters, her voice hoarse. There's the sound of wheels. Someone opening the door. There's chains. Daniel sits on the bed. He doesn't ask, just puts his hand on her shoulder, holding her still. Anna breathes heavily, then gradually slows down. She leans on his shoulder, closing her eyes, not sleeping, but no longer shaking. Lucille stands behind, softly saying, "The girl is not simply an orphan. She has seen something. Very bad." Daniel asks, "Have you ever seen such expressions?" "Yes," Lucille replies, her voice low. "In children who have been locked up for a long time, forced to leave their mothers, or witnessed their friends disappear every night. They don't cry, don't ask. They just carry scars, without names." Daniel gently squeezes Anna's shoulder. He knew, from the moment he picked her up in the dark, that he couldn't let go. But now, he understands more clearly. Anna needs to be saved not only from the streets. She needs to be pulled out of something darker than the night. 3 days after Anna came to live in Daniel's mansion, a woman appeared at the gate. She presented a police badge and requested to meet Daniel Whitaker. Her name is Emily Tran, an investigator with the Federal Crime Prevention Team. Her face is serious, her black hair neatly tied back. She doesn't say much, but her eyes are focused. Daniel receives her in the living room, along with Lucille. Anna sits on the second-floor staircase, hiding behind the wooden railing, observing. Emily begins with a concise sentence. "We received an anonymous tip. Someone said you are holding a child who may be a witness in a human trafficking case." Daniel is not surprised. He nods. "The girl's name is Anna. I don't know her background, but she was being chased. I just gave her a safe place." Emily looks up at the staircase, where Anna is standing. The girl wears a grey sweater, her hand hugging a one-eared teddy bear. Their eyes meet. Emily pauses. She stands up, walking slowly to the first step, not getting too close. Her voice lowers. "I was once a child like you. Also living in fear. Also running away from the van. Also never had anyone believe me." Anna looks at her for a few more seconds, then retreats inside, disappearing from sight. Emily turns back, sitting down on the chair, her hand squeezing slightly. "I know who's looking for her. And if it's who I think it is, we're dealing with Victor Rains." Daniel frowns. "I've heard that name. But isn't he a philanthropic businessman?" Emily shakes her head. "That's just a cover. He's the one behind a series of sham organizations, rehabilitation centers, reform schools, orphanages. But they are all places to gather children with unverifiable backgrounds. From there, they disappear from the system." Daniel looks at Lucille. She nods. Anna's expressions are very similar to children who have been detained for a long time. Emily continues. 20 years ago, I was almost put in one of those places. A cop saved me at the last minute. Since then, I decided to go into investigation. But I never found any evidence to convict Victor." Daniel stands up, taking out from his pocket the piece of chain that Anna carried the first night. "Do you know this symbol?" Emily looks closely, her eyes lighting up. "This is a numbering code. Children in the camp will be attached to chains according to group, age, gender, and exploitation potential. Only people in the system know this classification. Daniel sits down, his voice heavy. So, Anna is one of those children. Very likely. And if so, she's a living witness. But more importantly, maybe she knows other children are still being held. That evening, in the small drawing room next to the kitchen, Anna is allowed to sit with white paper and colored pencils. Lucille just sits next, not asking anything. She knows there are things children can't tell in words. Anna begins to draw. First a room with iron bars, with a small window. Then she draws two people, one boy, one girl, about at the same age. Their eyes are closed, their hands chained to a pillar. She writes under the picture, Bobby and Lena. Lucille takes the drawing, giving it to Daniel. He is silent, then immediately gives it to Emily and Jamal. We need to check all the facilities associated with Victor, especially those with children registered at the same time. Jamal doesn't speak. He sits down at the computer, typing continuously. The security system of seemingly charitable facilities is very tough, but he has his own way. Nearly an hour later, Jamal looks up. I got in. This is a facility called Hope Child Initiative, registered in Missouri, funded by Victor since 2014. He projects it on the screen, a list of children being specially cared for. Among them, there are two old photos, a boy and a girl, exactly like Anna's drawing. Emily clenches her hand. Daniel steps forward, saying slowly, we are not just saving one child. We have a chance to overturn this entire network. Everyone looks at each other. No one speaks. But in the room, the atmosphere changes, from suspicion to determination. Emily opens her bag of documents, taking out a map of Missouri, marking in red the facilities directly or indirectly owned by Victor Rains. Among them, there are at least 3 locations that have had complaints filed, but all were withdrawn for no reason. Hope Child Initiative is located in a remote area nearly 20 miles from the town center with no clear signage. Internal notes call it Camp 17. Lucille frowns when she hears that name. I used to hear that. Camp 17 was what the kids at the orphanage told each other. A place so quiet it was scary. No laughter, no music, no real names. Daniel looks at the map, his lips pressed tightly. His hand rests on the picture of the 2 children. Bobby and Lena. If they are still alive there, we can't delay any longer. Jamal checks the system further. I can hack the security cameras, but only temporarily, maybe a few minutes before they detect it. Everyone stands behind him, holding their breath. The screen jumps to a blurry image, a shot from the roof of an old warehouse. An empty corridor appears, thick with dust, wires hanging loose, fluorescent lights flickering. No movement, no sound. Jamal changes the angle. Another room appears, only plastic chairs with broken legs, pieces of torn curtain flipping lightly in the wind. The screen blurs and then goes black. That's it. Jamal steps back, removing his headphones. No sign of people. The internal structure is exactly as Anna drew, but that area is currently abandoned. Emily crosses her arms, thoughtful. We're too late. Or, this is just a cover. Daniel looks at the still image on the screen. The dark, empty room. But the gloomy feeling still seems to linger. Maybe they've moved, he says. But there's something left behind. And I don't believe there's no trace. Emily nods. This emptiness is intentional. 2 days after finding clues about Hope Child Initiative, Daniel's team continued to expand the investigation. Emily uses a private account to access the federal complaint system. Another name appears, Green Dawn Recovery Center, a rehabilitation center for teenagers located 30 miles from Springfield, near the forest, remote, with little supervision. The name of the center does not appear in the FBI report, but the owner on paper is Everline Foundation, a subsidiary of the organization founded by Victor Raines since 2009. Emily circles the address, placing it on the table. Bobby and Lena may be there. The way this organization operates is to transfer children from one place to another, always legalizing it with fake records. Daniel turns to Jamal. Can you get into Green Dawn's internal system? Jamal nods. Difficult, but I'll try. If I can access one of the on-site network ports, I can install a signal receiver and monitor via satellite. The next morning, Jamal poses as a network technician from a contract company, carrying a backpack containing miniature recording devices. He enters Green Dawn through the main door after making an appointment in advance. The person who receives him is a man around 40 years old, wearing a medical uniform, wearing a name tag Mark Davis. He doesn't smile, speaks abruptly, taking Jamal down the hallway. Inside the center is very clean, the hallway white without smell. But something is wrong. Each door is locked from the outside. No music, no voices. Through the gap on the third door, Jamal sees a teenager mopping the floor. Old t-shirt, long hair covering his face. He looks up as Jamal walks past. Light blue eyes, thin. That's Bobby. On the other side of the room, Jamal sees Lena sitting on a plastic chair, hugging a pillow, her eyes dark. An employee walks past, glancing at her with a cold look. Jamal bends down, removing the cover of the network box near the medical room. His movements are quick, precise, without making noise. A finger-sized recording device is attached to the third connection, right next to the main signal splitter. He gently closes the lid, his finger lightly pressing the button on the watch face. A small click is heard. The device has been activated, starting to transmit signals to the outside. In the empty hallway, the dim light shines on the white floor. Jamal walks slowly, unhurried. He knows there are security cameras watching, but can't reveal that he doesn't belong here. When turning into the corner of the hallway on the left, he sees the two are cleaning up bandages and wipes in a small room next to the medical supplies storage. The boy bows his head, holding a bottle of alcohol. The girl looks straight at Jamal, her eyes wary. Jamal stops, slightly bends down. Hello, my name is Will. I'm here to fix the network, he says softly, his voice warm. No one asked me to do anything else. The girl doesn't answer, but doesn't run away either. The boy still bows his head. Jamal doesn't step closer. He takes off his glasses, revealing his face more clearly. I was a kid locked up like you guys, but someone helped me. Now, I help others. That's all. The boy looks up, an old bruise on his cheek and dark circles under his eyes. The girl leans back half a step, but her eyes remain on Jamal. He knows. Nothing more can be done. Trust here doesn't come from words. Only actions leave a mark. Jamal nods lightly. I'll leave a candy under the table. If you feel safe, take it. If not, just leave it there. He steps back, unhurried. When turning away, the boy's eyes still follow, no longer afraid, but not yet trusting. That afternoon, in the meeting room of the mansion, Jamal projects the images he just filmed. Everyone is silent when they see the two children, Bobby mopping the floor, Lena sitting motionless. Anna also sits watching with Lucille. The girl suddenly clenches her teddy bear. That person, she says softly, pointing to a staff member walking past with a clipboard, is the one who tied me to the water pipe. The whole room is silent. Daniel bends down to ask, Are you sure? Anna nods. His name is Gordon. He hits my friends. Emily pauses the video, noting the employee's name. We have a name, a face, images, but still not enough to get a search warrant. Daniel frowns. Why? Because Victor's system is linked to major donors. Some are politicians, some control the local judiciary. Without clear evidence, they will block it. Daniel sits thoughtfully. After a few minutes, he stands up. Then we need public attention. He calls an independent investigative journalist who has collaborated with him in a financial fraud case. Daniel sponsors an investigation article, Inside Green Dawn, The Nameless Children. Emily warns, if Victor knows we're watching, he'll move the kids somewhere else. We need to be faster than him, Daniel replies. That evening, Anna sits in the drawing room with Lucille. Holding a pencil, she begins to draw faces. No longer iron bars or teddy bears, but real people. A girl with long hair, hugging a pillow, singing silently. Lucille asks, "Who is this?" "Sister Lena," Anna replies. "She often sings at night. Very softly, only I can hear it." Lucille gently strokes the girl's head. "A voice singing in the dark, eh?" Anna nods. Before going to bed, Daniel sits reading the newspaper in the study. Anna walks in, holding a drawing. She doesn't say anything, just hands over the paper, then hesitates, standing there. Daniel looks at the drawing. The girl drew herself, standing under a tree, with light shining through the branches. In the distance is a man sitting, his arms wide open. "Who is that person?" Daniel asks softly. Anna doesn't answer, but after a while she steps forward, gently hugging Daniel from behind. Daniel places his hand on her hand. He says slowly, "If you need it, I can be the person who stays." 3 days after the video about Green Dawn spread on an independent investigative website, the public began to take notice. But there was no official response from the authorities. No one came to check. No one was questioned. Emily is annoyed. Daniel remains silent, but he knows if nothing is done soon, Victor will move the children. Jamal continues to monitor the signal from the device installed in the center. However, the security system begins to tighten. Almost no cameras are working properly. Information becomes intermittent, flickering. One day, Jamal returns to Green Dawn, bringing pre-ordered water bottles for the center each week, as agreed when he played the role of technical support staff. In the second-floor hallway, Bobby stands waiting, holding a box of water. When no one is paying attention, Bobby pulls a small paper straw from his sleeve, stuffing it under the bottom of the barrel. Jamal pretends not to see, continuing the work. When getting to the car, Jamal opens the straw. Inside is a small piece of paper rolled tightly, scribbled handwriting. "Lena will sing at 3 a.m., if anyone can still hear." That evening, Daniel's mansion is completely silent. Emily, Daniel and Jamal are present in the surveillance room. Anna sits next to Lucille, hugging her teddy bear, her eyes glued to the screen. Jamal checks the signal. Still weak, but still enough to record from a room on the 3rd floor. Time passes slowly. 2:58, 2:59, then 3 a.m. A small voice rises, faint as the wind blowing through a crack in the door. It is an old lullaby, the song Anna once mumbled on her first night at the mansion. Anna jumps up. It's her. Lena is singing, not loud, not clear, but steadily. Every sentence carries the breath of someone who has been attached to the dark. Emily stands up. This is the signal. Now is the time to move in. According to the diagram Jamal drew from previous recordings, Green Dawn has an escape exit behind the tool storage. The iron door is not locked by fingerprint, but by a mechanical lock, enough to break if needed. Daniel and Emily change into dark clothes. They don't wait for a search warrant anymore. They know if they wait any longer, Bobby and Lena may disappear. They arrive at 3:42 a.m. Jamal stays in the car, monitoring the GPS and audio signals. Emily uses tools to break the lock. The door opens silently. They enter a secondary hallway where there are no direct cameras. Bobby is waiting. He leads them quickly through 2 turns, avoiding the view of 2 nighttime security guards. They come to a small room located behind the main record room. Steel-paneled walls, mechanical lock door. Bobby gives the key. Emily opens it. Inside are paper records, many storage boxes, and a metal cabinet containing USBs, hard drives, original photos of the victims. There are also records that have never been reported. Among them is a file with the name Anna, ID number 47-blue. Emily squeezes her hand. Daniel looks at the photo. It is Anna, about 4 years old. Empty eyes. Outside, Lena appears, her hand hugging her shoulder. The girl sees Daniel, standing still. Daniel approaches, bends down, saying softly, "We're here to get you out of here." Lena nods, her eyes red. She doesn't cry. Just turns back, leading the group back towards the side door. As soon as they approach the escape door, a security guard unexpectedly steps out from the warehouse, shining a flashlight directly at Emily. "Stop!" Emily pulls out her gun, shouting, "Back off! Federal police!" He hesitates, then presses the alarm on his belt. The alarm sounds throughout the building. Daniel hugs Lena, pulling her to run towards the car. Emily holds the gun, blocking the guard's path. Bobby stops at the door. "I'll hold the door. If they chase after, I'll block them long enough for you and everyone to leave." "No," Daniel calls. "I know shortcuts. If it gets too tight, I'll hide. But if no one holds them back, everyone will be caught again." Emily turns back, nodding briefly to Bobby. No good luck, no instructions. She understands. Children in this place have learned how to survive on their own for a long time. Daniel picks up Lena, jumping into the car. Jamal floors the gas. Emily gets in last. Behind, Bobby stands watching. The steel door closes. His shadow fades in the mist. On the way out, Lena hugs Daniel, making a sound for the first time, her voice almost breathless. I safe?" Daniel gently squeezes her shoulder, saying slowly, "Surely, yes, you are safe." It is not yet dawn when the car carrying Daniel, Emily, and Lena arrives at the mansion. The whole group is silent. Jamal looks in the rearview mirror many times, but doesn't see any cars following. Lena leans on Daniel's shoulder, not saying anything. She doesn't sleep. Her eyes are empty, as if her mind is still stuck behind the steel door. Inside the house, Anna sits waiting on the chair, hugging her teddy bear. When she sees Lena walk in, the girl jumps up, running to hug her tightly. "I'm so glad to see you again. I thought I wouldn't have a chance to see you again." Lena takes Anna's hand, tightly. She doesn't speak, but her shoulders shake. Lena starts crying, not because of pain, but because someone remembers her. Lucille gently takes the 2 children upstairs. Emily stands looking, her eyes not leaving the stairs. No one needs to say anything. Everyone understands. The war is not over. The next morning, Jamal begins to decode the data obtained from Green Dawn's record room. Thousands of files are encoded with multiple layers of security, but Jamal is familiar with such disguises. Inside is a list of 46 children, names, code numbers, classification groups. Each record shows signs of being edited. There are children being fostered, being adopted, but the addresses do not exist. Jamal projects images of anonymous transfers on the screen, deposits from foreign accounts to Victor through a fake charity fund. Some amounts are up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. The source of the funds are donors. Emily zooms in on a report file. The name of a person appears clearly: Senator William Carter. Daniel stands behind, silent. Carter is the one who advocates for the state's children's fund. He was once awarded a humanitarian medal. Emily interrupts. The reason he doesn't want Victor investigated is because he is in that network. Emily immediately sends all the data to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, along with a request for a nationwide search warrant for Victor's entire system. "This time," she says, "we won't let him escape." That afternoon, while Lena is resting in her room, Lucille brings her a bowl of hot soup. Anna sits next, reading a picture book. She reads each word slowly, then turns to Lena. "You know, when I'm most afraid, I often think about the song you sing every night." Lena smiles weakly. "You can hear it?" Anna nods. "No one can hear it, but I can." At the same time, in a discreet building in the west of the city, Victor Rains sits alone in a dark meeting room. On the table is a printout of the investigative article about Green Dawn, along with images of Lena and Bobby in the clip taken from the camera Jamal obtained. He makes a call. The voice on the other end is a low, cold woman's voice. Encrypted communication. Victor says briefly, "Lena has escaped. The other side has opened the file. Order a complete cleanup of Level C immediately." The voice on the other end replies, "Understood. But what about Level B?" Victor pauses for a few seconds. "If they dig deeper, they will get to the political side. We can't reveal the deeper part. Clean it up completely, including the person who is holding the child." That same evening, a package is sent to Daniel's mansion with no sender name. Lucille opens it, thinking it's court documents. Inside is a large envelope and a blank sheet of paper printed with a single line. "You pulled it into the light. Let's see how long you can protect it." Daniel opens the envelope. Inside are photos taken from a distance through a telephoto lens. One is him leading Anna walking in the backyard. Another is Anna sitting reading a book by the window. Emily holds the photo, her hand squeezing tightly. They know this place. Daniel puts the photo down on the table. His eyes don't blink. He looks straight at the photo, his voice low. "Then we won't run. We will fight back." Lucille silently takes the photos, then gently folds them, putting them down. She doesn't say anything, but her hands tremble slightly. Something Daniel rarely sees. In the living room, Lena just comes down the stairs, about to call Anna, then stops. She sees everyone's eyes, tense, heavy. Daniel turns around, his voice softening. "It's okay. Go to your room and rest." Lena doesn't ask anything. She understands. Something has gone beyond the walls of this mansion. After the children have gone to bed, Daniel, Emily, Lucille, and Jamal sit down at the dining table. The lights are only half on, the light reflecting on each person's face. Emily places a map of the city on the table. On it are red dots, the places Victor has visited, including the high-rise building where his financial company is headquartered. This photo is not from an amateur. The angle, the sharpness, could be military-grade equipment, Jamal says, his voice low. "They don't just know where we are, they are watching and waiting for an opening." Emily nods. "He knows we have the most dangerous part of the system. If we don't stop him soon, he will strike first." Daniel looks out the window, where the garden lights are flashing lightly between the trees. "No one in this house is safe until we cut off its roots." Emily says softly, "Then we have to find the main base. The core, where Victor runs everything." Jamal opens the computer, pulling up an unverified file. "I found a facility that has not been officially registered, located in the old industrial area southwest. The internal code name is Silent Cage." Daniel looks at the screen. His eyes are no longer just worried, but decisive. After receiving the threatening package, Daniel called an emergency meeting of the entire mansion staff. The main door was fitted with an electronic lock. Infrared cameras were mounted along the fence. Local police were deployed to assist on shifts, but Emily did not completely trust them. Victor is not stupid enough to strike in broad daylight. He will wait for the most favorable moment. Daniel asks, "What will he do?" Emily replies simply, "Attack the weak point." And the weak point is the children. That afternoon, when Daniel takes Anna out to play in the garden, a piece of paper is quietly placed under the wooden chair. No one sees who left it there. Daniel discovers it when he returns. The paper is torn from a notebook. The handwriting is slanted. "You saved one child. But how many others will have to pay the price?" No signature. No trace. But Daniel knows this is no longer a threat. This is a declaration of war. He immediately takes Anna into the house, ordering all the ground floor windows to be closed. Emily only says one sentence. Victor knows he's been cornered, and now he's starting to bite back. That night, when everyone is having dinner, Emily receives a strange message, sent from an internal police industry account. "Meet me, urgently, alone. Location sent." The message comes from the account of Inspector Russell, her direct supervisor, a man known for being discreet, who once helped her advance in her career. But Emily has suspected him since the Green Dawn case was not responded to. She doesn't answer, but secretly checks Russell's financial records through a contact in the Federal Bureau of Investigation. 2 hours later, Jamal gives her a detailed statement. He regularly receives money from the Humanitarian Connection Fund, which is Victor's money laundering branch. Emily sits still for a long time, then stands up saying, "We are no longer just fighting criminals. We are fighting an entire system that nurtures them." The next evening, when Jamal leaves home to meet an informant in the research area to the north, his car is forced to the curb by a black SUV. 3 masked men rush out. One smashes the car window, pulling the hard drive from Jamal's backpack. He resists, but is hit hard on the back of the head. Before fainting, he manages to see the license plate being removed and a line of silver paint on the rear of the car. Silence is power. Jamal is taken to the hospital with no serious injuries, but the hard drive containing the entire copy of the data about Victor disappears. When Daniel and Emily arrive at the hospital, Jamal is awake. His eyes are wide, his voice hoarse. "They don't need to kill me. They just need to steal everything we have." Daniel grips the chair tightly. Emily grinds her teeth. They are playing the long game. Jamal winces, sitting up straight. "I can get back into the system. If I get a replacement computer, I can trace the signal back." Emily holds up her hand, signaling him to stop. "No," she says, "you've done more than enough. The name in the system, the code on the device, and the video from the medical camera, all are keys." Daniel walks in afterwards, carrying a cup of tea. He puts it on the table, his voice low but soft. "Now you need to rest." The rest, leave it to us. Returning to the mansion, Emily places the file folder on the table, flipping to a page with a diagram of the warehouse area. The drawing is not clear, but some sections of the pipeline, escape routes, and old door codes can still be read. The gateway was once a logistics center for a heavy industrial company, which was closed in 2001. But according to internal notes, it was recently re-leased for special storage purposes. Lucille looks at the map, saying softly, "What kind of storage requires 3 layers of protection and internal codes?" Jamal nods, still with a white bandage on his forehead. "Not just storage. That place is the coordination center. If Victor wants to destroy all the evidence, he will start there." Daniel stands up, walking towards the window where the garden lights are shining into the house. He sees his reflection, a man who once chose to help from a distance, now standing in the eye of the storm. He turns back. Bobby is there, and maybe many other children. If we don't go now, there will be nothing left to save. Emily nods. I've sent a request for reinforcements from the Special Investigation Team, but it may take a few days. If Victor acts first, there will be nothing left to investigate. Daniel steps to the table, placing his hand on the map. Then we go first. Do what the law is still hesitating to do. Jamal tries to sit up, even though Lucille is stopping him. I'll go with you. Daniel places his hand on his shoulder. You need to recover. But if you can give me an electronic map and a security diagram, do it tonight. Anna walks in, holding a new drawing. She gives it to Daniel. The drawing is simple, a dark room and a door opening, shining brightly. I saw it in a dream, Anna whispers. The door has people calling. Daniel looks at the picture. He doesn't say anything, but puts the drawing in his inside pocket. The next morning, while the entire mansion is preparing a plan for the night's raid, Anna sits alone in the drawing room, holding a pencil, her eyes looking into the distance. Lucille puts a glass of milk down next to her. Are you dreaming again? Anna doesn't answer. She draws on the paper a mottled brick wall, in the middle of which is a strange symbol, an inverted triangle cut by 3 diagonal lines. Daniel sees it, immediately recognizing it. It is the symbol marking the internal data storage that Jamal had found in the encrypted files. But in the diagram Jamal recovered, this symbol is not attached to any coordinates. Anna says softly, "That wall is in the cold storage." Behind the rice storage room, on the left, is a grey iron door. Jamal re-examines the internal cameras still saved. A room has been removed from the drawing, its signal blocked, but there are still shadows of people walking around. He zooms in on the frame, a row of old iron doors, and at the bottom, a doorway just big enough for a person to crawl through. Emily stands up, immediately calling the directly commanding federal agent. Verify the coordinates. Prepare a raid plan. He's keeping people there. Early the next morning, the Special Action Team divides into 3 groups, approaching from the front, the left flank, and the rear of the warehouse area, the gate once used as a logistics station. Emily leads the main group. Daniel goes with her. They wear protective armor, with headsets on their ears. At the exhaust vent at the rear, they break the mechanical lock, crawling through a moldy old hallway. Inside, the yellow light is dim. There are no guards. But the air is stifling, as if no one has ever entered this place voluntarily. As the group turns into the second narrow passage, the sound of heavy footsteps echoes from the opposite end of the hallway. Emily immediately signals to stop. She holds up 3 fingers. Enemy ahead. A second later, a dry shout rings out. Stop! Drop your weapons! 2 of Victor's guards, wearing black protective gear, wearing half masks, appear, each holding an automatic weapon, pointing directly at Emily. Without hesitation, Emily rolls to the left, while shouting, "Scatter!" A quick firefight breaks out. Bullets hit the steel walls, sparking. Daniel ducks behind a steel barrel, pulling out a handgun to provide support. One of the 2 guards falls, hit in the shoulder, groaning, then crawls into a dark corner. The remaining guard tries to retreat to raise the alarm, but Jamal from the support group manages to approach from behind in time, throwing a sound jamming device into the corner of the hallway. All radio signals are immediately cut off. The surrounded guard fires one last shot and is then tackled by Emily. She restrains him, twists his arm, and kicks the gun out of reach. Daniel steps forward, his voice tense. Who else is in the area? The guard doesn't answer, his eyes full of despair. Emily searches him, taking a coded card with the number A17 on it. She turns to Daniel. He's keeping Bobby in Zone A. Let's go. Near the end of the hallway, a steel door opens. Victor Rains stands waiting, his left arm around Bobby's neck, his right hand holding a handgun. The dim light shines on his face, not afraid, just tired and insane. Emily raises both hands. Drop the weapon, All escape routes have been blocked. Victor laughs. Back then, you were like him, a useless, scared little girl. No one saved you. No one cared. You escaped on your own. Now you're back. For what? Emily replies, without blinking. Because I don't want any child to live in the darkness like I used to live. Victor squeezes Bobby's neck tighter. You don't understand. There are no innocents in this game. The entire system is behind me. They will never let me fall. Emily pulls out her gun. You're wrong. I will pull that entire system into the light, starting with you. Victor smirks contemptuously. Then he raises the gun to shoot Emily. Emily shoots first. The bullet lodges in his left calf. He falls, the gun flying out of his hand. Bobby breaks free, running towards Daniel. Emily ties Victor's hands, pressing him face down on the floor. The footsteps of the agent echo from behind. Everything ends in less than a minute. Outside, the light shining from the FBI car illuminates the entrance to the cold storage. Lena stands next to the ambulance, seeing Bobby being led out. She runs to hug her brother tightly, unable to say a word. Daniel stands next to them, his eyes following. This time, no one is left behind. 2 hours later, at FBI headquarters, Emily sits in the interrogation room opposite Inspector Russell. He doesn't say anything, but his eyes are no longer as calm as before. On the table is the file Jamal recently recovered, the money transfers from Victor's organization to Russell's personal account over the years. Emily points to the last line. You once said you were for justice. Now I see which side you chose. Russell doesn't refute. He just looks out the window where Victor Raines is being escorted down the hallway in handcuffs. That evening, at the mansion, Daniel sits reading the news on a tablet. Crime boss Victor Raines arrested. Expanded investigation links to multiple high-ranking figures. Lucille puts her hand on his shoulder. Things are starting to change. Daniel doesn't look up. Not yet, but at least a line has been cut through the darkness. Inside the dark brown paneled room, white light shines down from the ceiling onto serious faces. The air is heavy, not because of fear, but because of the seriousness of the case. Victor Raines sits in the defendant's seat, his hands cuffed behind his back. His hair is noticeably grey, the circles under his eyes are deep, but his eyes still gleam with contempt, as if he doesn't believe the chairs around here are really strong enough to judge him. Beside him, Inspector Russell, 2 senior managers, and a woman who used to be a psychologist in the network are also in handcuffs, their eyes avoiding each other. Behind the security barrier, Daniel, Emily, Jamal, Lucille, Anna, Lena, Bobby, and nearly 20 other children who have been rescued are all present. The judge strikes the gavel. Today's hearing is for Victor Raines and 7 co-defendants in the case of human trafficking, money laundering, abuse and exploitation of minors, organizing illegal activities under the guise of a federal charity. A short video is shown, the scene of Bobby mopping the floor, Lena being held in a locked room, and Emily's story. The courtroom goes silent. When allowed to speak, Victor doesn't stand up, just sits, his voice tired. You think you've broken me? There are other places you will never touch. Emily steps forward as an investigation witness. She only says one sentence. We don't need to touch them all, just enough for the remaining children to know. Someone has started. At the end of the session, the judge declares, Victor Raines is sentenced to life in prison without parole. The accomplices are sentenced from 25 to 45 years in prison, according to separate charges. The court also orders the transfer of assets from the sham funds to establish the National Juvenile Rehabilitation Fund, managed by the Child Protection Agency. When being led away, Victor looks back one last time. But this time, There is no longer an arrogant look, just emptiness. Bobby is transferred to the small medical room of the mansion. The private doctor examines and monitors closely. He is not seriously injured but sleep-deprived, dehydrated, and shows signs of psychological trauma. Lena always sits next to him, never leaving. Whenever Bobby closes his eyes, she puts her hand on her brother's hand, as if to remind him that he is no longer locked in the dark. Upstairs, Anna hasn't said a word since learning that Bobby has returned. She doesn't cry, doesn't laugh, doesn't panic either. Just quietly sits in the drawing room, in front of a blank sheet of paper next to the box of colored pencils. Each day, she draws a person. Sometimes it's Daniel sitting at his desk. Sometimes it's Emily, standing in front of the window. And Lena, too, sitting singing silently on the steps. But absolutely no words are written. Just images, silent, full of detail, but without a word. Lucille puts each drawing in a separate folder, arranging them carefully. Daniel looks at Anna through the doorway, his eyes heavy. She hasn't opened her mouth to say a word. He says to Lucille when the two are sitting in the kitchen, "Because she doesn't need to speak," Lucille replies. "She's rearranging her world, one stroke at a time. Don't make her speak when she's not ready." Daniel nods. He understands that feeling. He was once such a child. That evening, Daniel sits in the library, holding a beige file folder. It is an adoption application. Name of guardian, Daniel Whitaker. Name of child, Anna. He signs his name. Emily sits opposite, not saying anything. When Daniel hands the pen to the person in charge of the file, she smiles softly, for the first time since the day they met. "You will be a good father." Daniel puts the pen down, looking up at her. "Not because I'm better than others, but because I know what it's like to be left behind." The next morning, in the backyard of the mansion, the light sun shines through the trees. Daniel is pruning some roses. Next to him, Anna sits on a stone bench, hugging her teddy bear. After a long time, the girl puts the bear down, walking slowly towards him. Daniel still cuts flowers, not looking. Anna stands still, then says softly, her voice hoarse but clear, "From now on, you are my dad. Okay?" The blade in his hand stops in midair. Daniel bends down, gently placing his hand on the girl's shoulder. He doesn't say anything, just sits down at her level, embracing her. Anna hugs back for the first time since coming to this house, not trembling, not resisting. Daniel says softly in her ear, "I'm always here, not going anywhere." That evening, the entire mansion doesn't turn on the big lights, but the light in each room is enough to see clearly. Someone has returned. Someone has just been accepted. There is a place to breathe, to live. Emily walks past the drawing room, seeing Anna writing a few lines under a picture. Not much, just a few slanted words. "Everyone is still here." Emily is silent, then walks away, not saying anything. As the rooms in the mansion gradually turn off the lights, Daniel still sits in the library in front of the old table lamp. On the table are the files of 30 children, the young children rescued from Victor Raines's sham facilities, waiting for new places to be taken in. Emily walks out from the kitchen door, holding a towel, looking at both. But don't forget, to save others, you have to stand firm first. Emily smiles at her, then looks at Daniel. Maybe it's time to do this officially. Daniel slightly raises his eyebrows. "What do you mean?" "Your child protection fund needs to expand, not just funding, but also field operations, relief, intervention, legal support. You have the resources. I have the experience." Daniel looks down at the drawing Anna left on the table, the scene of everyone sitting around the dining table with lights, with trees, and with the line, "Everyone is still here." He nods slowly. "We will start from this very place." Emily nods. "And not let any child be left behind." One early summer morning, the empty land behind the Whitaker mansion, which used to be just an old lawn, has now become a 2-story building, with clear glass walls, soft green in color, with a large sign in front, Blue Haven Rehabilitation Center. Daniel stands in front of the gate, adjusting his collar. Lucille walks beside him, gently brushing away a few invisible specks of dust on his shoulder. "You did it," she says. Daniel only smiles. "We did it." From behind, Bobby cycles over, carrying a cardboard box of documents. Lena runs after him, holding a stack of small books. "They said we have to sort the books by age," Lena says, her voice sounding important. "Then where do we put the books I wrote myself?" Bobby asks, half joking. Daniel reaches out to stroke both of their heads. "Put them in the grown-up children section." All three laugh, but the laughter this time no longer contains fear or wariness. Inside, the atmosphere is bustling. Children run around playing in the reading area. A few are learning how to use computers with Jamal, who has now officially opened a network skills class for orphans, teaching them how to protect themselves in cyberspace. In the backyard, Emily is in casual clothes, chatting with a little girl who has just been rescued from another state. Not asking much, not telling stories, just simply being there, like a normal anchor. The opening ceremony begins at 10 a.m. People from the media, the government, and social organizations are all present. But what is special is, the ceremony has no main speaker. Instead, Daniel steps onto the stage, holding a microphone. "There are things I once thought I would never be able to do. There are children I once thought I would never be able to understand. But then one day, in a dirty alley, a child hugging a bag of trash gave me a second chance to be a proper adult." He stops, his eyes turning towards the audience. "And today, that child will speak for me." The entire stage is silent as Anna steps up. She wears a white dress, her hair neatly braided. She is not holding anything, no paper, no text. She stands straight, looking down at the audience. A moment later, her eyes stop on Daniel. Anna's voice rings out, small but clear. "I am lucky, because you didn't abandon me. Now I will do the same for other children." A round of applause rings out. Not loud, but enough to move everyone. Emily gently wipes her eyes. Lena holds Bobby's hand tightly. Daniel stands behind, his eyes still following Anna. That afternoon, when the ceremony is over, people gradually leave the center. Daniel sits alone on the steps. The sunlight shines through the trees, shining down on the tiled floor like broken pieces of gold. Anna runs over from a distance, not saying anything, just sitting next to him. After a long time, she rests her head on his shoulder. No words are needed, just being there. Daniel closes his eyes. In his mind, there is a voice ringing out, not from any one person, but a crystallization of the days that have passed. Some people come from the darkness, but they were not born to stay there. Daniel still sits there for a long time after Anna falls asleep on his shoulder. The evening breeze blows through the garden behind the center, carrying the smell of new earth, the sound of birds flitting through the branches, and the scattered laughter of children still playing under the trees. From afar, Lucille is with a few volunteers, folding blankets for the temporary rest area. Lena is walking around, pointing and instructing. Bobby is carrying a box of books from the car. Emily stands leaning against the tree, her phone on silent, just looking at everyone with a calm look. the look of someone who once stood alone in a dark alley, now has an entire community walking beside her. Daniel gently turns, taking an old picture from his pocket. It is a photo of him as a child, a boy with messy hair, sitting on the steps of an orphanage, his eyes looking straight ahead, but empty. He looks back at the sleeping Anna. The old photo trembles in his hand. "We have all once had nothing," he whispers softly, but then a hand reached out, is enough to start again. On the lawn, a brown-skinned boy sits quietly, his eyes following the adults. Daniel recognizes that look, both hesitant and hopeful. He nods slightly, then signals for Jamal to approach the child. "Don't let him sit alone for too long," Daniel says. Jamal understands immediately. He approaches, sitting down beside the boy, not asking questions, just opening his small laptop and starting to show a few simple games on the screen. The boy looks, and then nods. The door is opening. Again. Daniel stands up, holding Anna in his arms, walking into the main hall of the center. On the path, the light of the end of the day paints long streaks on the tiled floor, warm as a dream come true. The story of Daniel and Anna is not just a journey to escape a crime ring, but also a journey to heal nameless scars with patience and trust. Some children don't cry, don't tell, but their eyes carry a silent call. Don't leave me behind. No one is ready to be a support, but sometimes a timely hug, a look that doesn't turn away, is enough to save a life. Have you ever met such eyes? If you were Daniel, would you stop or drive on? Have you ever quietly helped someone without anyone knowing? Tell me about a moment you listened with your heart. I'm here, not missing a single comment, and I listen, as Daniel once listened to Anna.